And welcome to another episode of the Tar Heels Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Grant Chachere, bringing you all the latest news in regards to UNC athletics. We're getting closer and closer and closer to the season opener. Today is Friday. Of course, UNC does not play tomorrow, which is unfortunate. I wish they could have played on Saturday. But I think the great thing is, though, is that because it's played on Monday, it's the only game that's going to be on TV, right? So it's going to be the only game on all day. So that creates even more intrigue for this game. So I'm really, really excited to finally get the season kicked off. It should be a great one here in Chapel Hill at Kenan Stadium at 8 o'clock p.m. By the way, the game will be broadcast on ESPN. But anyway, my name is Grant Chachere. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Chachere Grant, last name, first name. Can't spell my last name. Just pull out the Tony C's out of the cabinet. My last name's right there. That's probably the best way to spell my last name in case you need a reference. And also make sure to follow us on Twitter at Tar Heels on SI. And then also make sure to like our Facebook page. Just look up North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Our Facebook page is up and running. So make sure to go check that out as well. We'll be posting content on there all day. But anyway, this game is going to be very challenging, right? TCU is a very good team. This is a very good program. This is I'm saying good program. This is a proud program. This is a program that actually has a lot of tradition. It's one of a handful of programs that played in all 6 of the New Year's 6 bowl games, right, throughout its history, right? So I'm not talking about like the current advent of the New Year's 6 bowl games from 2014 on. The New Year's 6 bowl games were a lot of those bowl games have existed since the beginning of time, right? The Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Rose Bowl has been played since the 1920s. The Sugar, Orange, and Cotton Bowl have been played, I believe, since the early 30s. I know the Sugar Bowl was first played in 1934, I believe it was, from the city of New Orleans. So I kind of knew that already. Then the Fiesta Bowl came in I believe, the 70s. The Fiesta Bowl is actually the newest of the bowl games. And then the Peach Bowl, I believe it was first started being played in the 50s. Actually, no, 1968. So the Peach Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl are the 2 newest bowl games. However, they're the 6 biggest bowl games in a bowl game season, right? They've always have been, right? And maybe not so much the Peach Bowl. I know the Cotton Bowl was a big bowl game. The Peach Bowl is kind of newer to a degree, but the reason why it's considered a New Year's Six bowl game is because it's in Atlanta. That's what College Football Hall of Fame is. Atlanta is kind of like the center of the South, right? And college football is a Southern sport for the most part. Of course, there's the Big Ten, and that's no disrespect to the Midwest and the West Coast and even the East Coast here in North Carolina. But it's kind of like, the South, the SEC, nothing's more Southern than college football. And that's why they have it there. And also, Atlanta is a major city, right? Atlanta is a international city. And you also can't forget about that as well. If you think about all the bowl games, Phoenix is the Fiesta Bowl is being played in Phoenix. That is the third or fourth biggest city in the United States, or a top 10 city in the United States. I'm not saying top 3, but it has over 1 million people in it. Major commerce. Of course, the Rose Bowl is played in LA, but it's the oldest bowl game there is. That's why they call it the granddaddy of them all. The Orange Bowl is in Miami. And then, of course, the Sugar Bowl is being played in New Orleans, right? Another international city, tourist city. Makes a lot of money. And TCU's played in all 6 of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they played in all 6. I think if you look at the teams that played in all 6, I think it's like Alabama, Florida State, Miami. Like, it's a very Oklahoma. It's a very, handful of teams. It's not that many, and TCU's done it. So, once again, this is a very proud program with a lot of history. They'll also win a national championship. They've also have a Heisman Trophy winner, Davey O'Brien. Davey O'Brien, if that name doesn't sound familiar, he's also the namesake for the award that's given to the top quarterback in the country. That's who Davey O'Brien is. TCU has 3 Pro Football Hall of Famers. Sammy Baugh, who's arguably the first superstar quarterback in NFL history, played from the late 30s to the early 50s. Then you had Bob Lilly, who was an 11-time Pro Bowler for the Cowboys, just part of that doomsday defense in the 60s and 70s. Was one of his first big stars. Then, of course, I think this is probably the most notable one, LaDainian Tomlinson, former NFL MVP, Pro Football Hall of Famer. One of the greatest running backs, not only played at the professional level, but also the collegiate level. He was a Heisman finalist. This is a proud program. Since 2000, TCU has compiled a 220-95 record, won 7 conference championships, including titles in the WAC, Conference USA, Mountain West, and Big 12, and appeared in 4 BCS/New Year's Six bowl games. The program has also reached the national championship in 2022 and has posted 10 11-win seasons compared to just 1 for North Carolina in that span. And yes, you could say some of it was 1 in the Conference USA and some of it was 1 in the Mountain West, but they also had some of the Big 12 too. This is a proud program. This isn't not some slush program. I think a lot, they went to the playoff. They were in the national championship game. Did they get their butts kicked by Georgia? Yes, and that seems like everyone just remembers the butt kicking for Georgia because, it was 65-7. But people also forget about, for them to even get there, they had to beat Michigan, who, by the way, that same Michigan team, a lot of those players came back and won the national championship the next season. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a proud program. This is a very successful program. They're coming off a 9-4 season. They got a lot of good players coming back. And also, I think they have more chemistry than North Carolina does because they have a lot of players coming back. Like, this is no slouch. And I think people have to realize I even had UNC losing this game when I did the schedule predictions. I think UNC could have a great season. I said they were going to be a 7-5, 8-4 season. Just being realistic. And I said this is one that gives a good lose because I think just TCU's better prepared for this moment. They have more chemistry. They have more players coming back. Sandon Dykes is coaching a lot of football games, a lot of big-time football games as a head coach. Not only as a head coach, but also as an assistant coach. Him and Belichick are kind of wired similar. Now, obviously, I think Sonny Dykes has a lot more media access to practices than Bill Belichick, of course, but they both want the same players. They both are part of very famous coaching trees, right? Bill Belichick's part of the Bill Parcells coaching tree. Sonny Dykes is part of the famed Mike Leach coaching tree, right? They both are the sons of coaches. Bill Belichick's dad was a longtime coach in the collegiate level, mostly with Navy, but he also coached at Chapel Hill for a few years. Then Sonny Dykes is the son of the late Spike Dykes. Spike Dykes was a legendary head coach at Texas Tech. He retired as the winningest head coach in Texas Tech's history and also is in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Right? And it's not even just their dads, right? Sonny Dykes' brother, Rick Dykes, coached in college football for a little while before he went into business, right? Got out coaching, went into business. His nephew is currently an assistant on TCU staff. That's Bill Belichick. We already know his 2 sons are on the coaching staff, Brian and Steve. And we know Steve pretty well because he's been on the podium before. And he's also really good defensive coordinator himself, really good defensive play caller. Got a lot of respect over the last few years. So this is they're very, very similar. So keep that in mind as well. So that's the intro of TCU. And now we're going to get to offense on the next episode, which will be for tomorrow. We're going to go over the defense, and then we're going to have some prediction stuff going for the game. and everything like that. Because Jeremiah's going to join us on Sunday. We're going to have that up as soon as possible. Just because there's a lot of time, lot of time packed, and we're trying to make as much content as possible. And for the offense, I mean, I think if there's one thing that TCU, and really more specifically for Sonny Dykes, is known for his offense, right? In his 14 years as a head coach, his offenses have been in the top 10. Half of those seasons, his offenses were in the top 10. And then 66% of those seasons, they averaged over 300 yards of passing. And yes, they are known more. Sonny Dykes is known a lot for his air raid offense. But if you look at the rushing numbers, it's a very balanced offense. They actually, in more than half of the season he's been a head coach, they've averaged at least 150 yards of rushing. That's a pretty balanced offense. I mean, it really is. If you average 150 yards a game and you're throwing for 300, you're going to win a lot of games. Period. Right? 150 yards is like that's a good rushing defense, rushing offense in my book. If you average 150 yards of rushing, that's good enough to win ball games. That's my opinion. Obviously, people have different opinions, but that's my opinion. And also, half the years she's been a head coach, they've had a top 15 offense. So he has always had a really good offense, and that's not going to change this year. Josh Hoover is a starting quarterback. He's coming back. He's very experienced. Last year was his first full season as a starting quarterback, and of course, in 2023, he became the starter. I believe it was halfway through the season. He actually had a really good year, and then of course his numbers improved last year, and he's a much more mature quarterback than maybe 2 years ago, even last year, because he's got a lot more experience. And he completed 66% of his passes for 3,149 yards and 27 touchdowns. That's a school record, by the way, for the most yards thrown this season, which is kind of surprising. That's actually surprised me because there's been some really good quarterbacks that come out of TCU. And then also, he's thrown 11 interceptions, so watch out for that. He has a tendency to be a little reckless at times, so watch out for that in Monday's game. But he was just one of 4 quarterbacks to average 300 yards per game and also have an 150.0 passer rating. That's pretty good. And he also led the Big 12 with 61 completions of at least 20 yards. That's not at most 20 yards, at least 20 yards. This is a very explosive offense. Bill Belichick harped on that the other day. I mean, they spread you out. Tackling is going to be very important. This is really, if you really want to know how good this UNC defense can be, I think this should show it. I think they're going to allow some yards. And don't get me wrong, they're going to allow yards. So when people are like, "Oh my God, they allowed 450 yards of offense," yeah, that's TCU's offense is a hard one to stop. But the whole point is really you have to slow them down. You have to slow them down. You're not going to stop them. You're going to have to slow them down. You're going to have to force turnovers. You're going to tackle on the perimeter. You have to hold on to the ball as long as possible. You want to slow down their tempo. There's a lot of things you can do to slow down their offense. So if people don't really look at the yardage, look at the are they converting on third down? Are they finishing drives with the touchdown? Are they kicking too many field goals? There's a lot of stuff that happens, right? So just because an offense is averaging, just because they had a 450 yards of total offense on the scoreboard, on the stat sheet, doesn't mean that UNC's defense is bad. What is UNC doing to prevent them from scoring points? Are they slowing down their tempo? There's a lot of stuff you can do there. So But also the running back room. The running back room isn't necessarily that great. I did talk to Sonny Dykes about a month ago. That article is actually already up. That article is it was an exclusive interview. It was more of a Q&A format. You can go check it out. Just look up exclusive Sonny Dykes, UNC, Grant Chachere, right? Yeah, I mean, just type in some keywords, it'll pop up. But I was able to speak with him. And he really liked the running back room. However, the running back room wasn't that great last year. Now, there could be a multitude for those reasons why their yards mark so low. I mean, they only had like 113 yards of rushing. They were 113th in rushing last season. That wasn't a very good rushing attack that TCU had last year. And that's something that Sonny Dykes and, of course, offensive coordinator Kendall Bars want. They want to have a strong running game. They want to have a balanced running game. That's how you move the ball down the field. You don't want to be one-dimensional. So they're going to try to fix the running game. But they have Jeremy Payne. Jeremy Payne is a leading rusher with 54 carries, 239 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He also had 12 catches for 99 yards. Trent Battle, 44 carries for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns last season. Nate Palmer didn't really play much last season, but he did a lot of good things in the spring, and the coaching staff seems to really like him from what I've been reading. And then Ken Ravion Barnes, who is a transfer from Texas San Antonio. TCU's wide receivers are really good. Eric McAllister is a really explosive wide receiver. 39 catches for 762 yards and 5 touchdowns in 2024. He also has a lot of experience. He also played a good bit at Boise State. He had 47 catches for 873 yards and 5 touchdowns in 9 games. He didn't even play a full season in 2023. And he was able to put up those numbers. And he also is YAC, which is his yards after catch. That's pretty incredible, too. I believe he averaged about 8 yards after catch. I remember seeing something like that. I mean, he's a very explosive wide receiver. So, like, for example, like I saw this, too. So we had 16 receptions in short yardage passes, which is between 0 and 9 yards. His average yards after catch is 7.3. For medium routes, it was 10 through 19, 7.7. And of course, for deep balls, which is 20 yards or more, 15.2 after catch. I mean, he's a really explosive receiver. He doesn't really drop the ball. Well, he does have a little bit of a drop. He does have some drop issues here and there. But overall, his PFF numbers are really good. 82.7 offensive grade. 80 receiving. His receiving PFF grade is 84.1. And then, of course, as I said, his yards after catch, 8.9. So he's averaging 9 yards after the catch. I mean, that's really, really, really good. So really explosive receiver. That's somebody you should watch out for. Jordan Dwyer, it comes over from Idaho, 78 catches, 1,192 yards, and 12 touchdowns in 2024. Had 11, and then in the quarterfinal loss, where they lost to Montana State, who ended up being the runner-up for the FCF's playoffs last year. He had 11 catches for 189 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he can play. So he's not afraid of the spotlight. He's a really, really good player. And of course, they also added Joseph Banchak from Houston as well. A lot of very good players. And also, they have a very experienced offensive line. Colton Deary, Carson Bruno, and Cade Bennett have all played over 1,000 snaps and throughout their careers. And, of course, those 3 guys, of course, are transfers. Colton Deary, Carson Bruno, and Cade Bennett are all guys who transferred. But Colton Deary, Carson Bruno, and Ben Taylor Whitfield are the 3 returning starters. However, you can make a case that there's 5, right? Because Ryan Hughes played in the final 4 games of last season and then started in the bowl game. And then Cade Bennett was supposed to be a starter last year, but he had a season-ending injury. So really, they returned 5 guys, to be honest with you. for all I care, because those guys have played together. They've been in the same offensive line room, and everything like that. So I think that, like I said, this TCU team has more chemistry. They're going to have a lot more chemistry, especially you're going to see that on the offensive side of the ball. And that's going to be one of my biggest concerns for this game. How does chemistry play a factor in this game? That's going to be very, 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 very interesting storyline going into that game, going into the game on Monday. I mean, there's a lot of, I'm really interested to see how this UNC defense reacts. They're going to give up yards. I want to put that in perspective. They're going to give up yards. So if they give up 470 yards of offense, that it's probably going to happen. But you have to slow them down. And there's certain ways you can do that. That's another podcast for another time. Probably going to talk about that in the pregame preview show. So yeah. A lot of information to just give out there. But anyway, that's going to wrap up today's show. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at Tar Heels on SI. Do the same thing for Facebook. Just go search up North Carolina Tar Heels on SI on Facebook. Make sure to click the like button and everything like that. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I don't know why I haven't been mentioning this, but like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's not just UNC stuff. There's also NC State. If you're North Carolina fans, if you want to know what's going on at NC State, we have NC State stuff going on here. We also have Arizona State. We have UCLA. We also have 3 NFL teams: the Raiders, the Rams, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Also, the Kansas City Chiefs. So make sure to go check out all that content right here on Sports Videos on SI. But anyway, I'm your host, Grant Chachere, the lead beat writer for North Carolina Tar Heels on SI. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.